thing we can do as a state, the Ohio Liberty Council has submitted to the Secretary of State to try to put on the ballot to make it unconstitutional in the state of Ohio to be forced to buy health insurance. So here shortly they're going to be working at gathering signatures so we can put this on the ballot and make it a constitutional amendment that we in Ohio do not have to take this health care, because we know that they're not going to sue the federal government like some of the other states. But about 15 years ago, I switched jobs and I was without health care insurance for a little while. And my middle boy, Corey, broke 2 of his fingers right here, wrestling. And I didn't have medical insurance, so we called the doctor and she's like, well, here's where you should go. So I called the place up because, I'm going to have to pay for this. And so I asked, what's the price? And they said, for the x-rays, the casting, taking the cast off, everything, about $2,200. I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. So we got out the phone book and started calling other doctors in the same category. We found a doctor, Dr. Holt, that did it for $623. The exact same thing. I tell you what, he was far better of a person, took better care of us because he wanted our business rather than just pushing it through with insurance. So part of the problem is we as consumers don't pay attention to the prices. So why don't we let doctors advertise their price? We let hospitals advertise their price so that you know what you're getting into before you go. But if you look at the healthcare, over the last 10 years, the federal government has been getting more and more involved with healthcare. But there's an area of healthcare that over the last 10 years, the price has greatly decreased while their quality has greatly increased. You know what? No federal government involvement in that area, no insurance involvement in that area, and that's LASIK eye surgery. Think about it, laser eye surgery 10 years ago was almost a couple grand to get an eye done. Now they advertise $5.99. And their quality is better and they do more people. See, that's what the free market's about. I know a lot of people are talking from the federal area saying that we need to allow insurance companies to sell across state borders. But you see, where in the Constitution does it say the federal government has the right to tell the state of Ohio who can sell insurance in our state? That is up to us who sells insurance in this state, and I would not vote for the federal government taking that right away from us in Ohio. See, I won't vote against the Constitution just to save a buck. But there is lots of things. We've talked about healthcare savings plans, which would give you more control. I do support tort reform because tort reform is one branch of legislation, government, telling the other branch, the judicial branch, that they are way out of line. I like heavy federal regulations on the federal government. I don't want heavy federal regulations on you. So that's the difference. That's part of the solution. If we open this up to let doctors compete and advertise their price, if we get the government out of the way, talk to your doctor. Your doctor will tell you he does tests all the time that's required by federal laws that run up the cost. Your doctor will tell you, your dentist will tell you. If we get the federal government out of the way, we let doctors compete, and we don't cast unconstitutional votes, we can work on improving the quality of health care. Because see, it's the cost that's the problem. It's not the quality, because we've got the greatest quality in the world. And it's not research and development. We have the greatest research and development. So I don't want the federal government taking over all of our health care because we have one issue of problem. Let's focus on what the problem is. And part of the problem is the federal government getting involved with our health care to begin with.
Well, if I remember, the question is how can we stop this healthcare program from being implemented? In the short run, we can't. In the long run, the simple way to do it is defund it. Just defund it. It's just like you grow a pumpkin and you don't get any rain, and so you don't water it, you don't fertilize it, and all of a sudden it dies on the vine. That's the short answer, and that's the most likely route we can go. Here's the problem in our country. We've become accustomed to not accepting personal responsibility. Personal responsibility for our lives, for our families. It's too easy to say, let the government do it. I had some rental apartments. I gave it up. I was just tired of dealing with government agencies and everything, and I'm tired of going down there and people that were getting unemployment and too lazy to work and getting the Federal Housing Authority paying for them and heating and food stamps and everything, and you go in there and you're smoking marijuana and drinking beer, and people that don't accept the responsibility for their own lives. When Rita and I were first married, guess what happens? Get pregnant, and all of a sudden there's a baby on the way. I thought I was going to be okay. I was working in a prison, and so I had some insurance, but they said, hey, She got pregnant before you went to work here, so you got to pay for your own maternity costs. So we go to the hospital and we ask them what it's going to cost, and they sensed that we didn't have that much money, and they said, well, if you stay in 3 days, it's $900. If you cut it down to 2 days, you can do that if everything goes okay. It's $600. You have to have half that money up front, and we did that. We went out and we picked up aluminum cans, we sold junk, we did everything we could. We had the $300 when she went in, and within the next 6 months we had the other $300 paid off. That's accepting personal responsibility, and that's what more of us need to do. Later on in life, like most of you, I assume, you're in between jobs, things happen, you have recessions, you're out of work, you have the opportunity to carry your Cobra over. You either can do it or not do it. In our case, it was every month, sell one more cow, sell one more thing until you can get, the money, get through this period of time. There's lots of other things you can do, and I agree with what's already said, interstate competition. There's already some of that, but it's not unlimited. Tort reform is very, very important. You're not going to get it out of a Democratic Congress. They're in bed with the trial attorneys. And we have doctors in our family, even though we come from very humble beginnings. I was raised on a small farm that didn't even have an inside toilet. But we learned about the greatness of this country, and if you work hard, you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I've done my best to do that. My family's done that. My youngest daughter's a doctor. Visited her the other day. She says, sorry, Mom, I got to run in and deliver a baby, and I'll be right back. Until we passed tort reform in Ohio, we were down to 3 insurance providers to do tort reform for medical doctors. If you're in the western part of the state, they didn't deliver babies. They went to Richmond, Indiana to deliver babies because of the tort liability. Now we have 13 companies that are doing tort reform. There's a lot of things we can do, but the short answer to your question is defund it. Don't appropriate the funds necessary for that monstrosity of a program. Thank you.